guy at my school a couple years ago, like, why is this happening? And he immediately said something very interesting that I never forgot. He said, look, I don't know, but what I can say is that it's not true. And he showed me a verse of the Quran saying, whoever kills a soul, it is as if he killed mankind entirely. And whoever saves one, it is as if he had saved mankind entirely. And I was like, this religion isn't dangerous. And I started researching it even more. After a while, I felt so deeply related to the teachings of this religion that I accepted this as the truth, as the way of life. And I officially embraced Islam a couple years later. And now, just so you know, I don't feel like a terrorist. I don't feel like killing people. I don't feel like any of the things that they share on the news at all. In fact, I feel peace. I feel purpose, and I feel mental clarity on a level that I never experienced before. But I'm not making this video today to talk about myself or share my research story with you. No, I'm here to expose the truth about the Western propaganda machine. Because, long story short, I came to the conclusion that what they're saying on the news actually isn't true. But then why are they spreading so much incorrect information about such a beautiful religion? That was the only question I was left with that I couldn't find an answer to. So, as you know me, I decided to dive deeper into this. I've spent hours and hours researching and digging into this mystery. And what I found was quite crazy, to be honest. I don't think I'm allowed to share everything here with you on YouTube today, but I found some actual very interesting reasons that they've been purposely hiding from the masses. And today, I'll do my best to share them with you and make an end to the lies that they've been spreading in the past couple of years. As a Muslim, you're not supposed to hate on other people. You stand for peace and equality, no matter who you are and no matter what you believe in. You should want the best for this world and the people. And I'm making this video just to show the untold side of the story that we see and hear on the news. So, let's get back to the question. Why does the Western world fear the spread of Islam so much? Let's start looking at it from a psychological perspective. In life, I've learned that in order to understand one another, you have to, or at least try to, start looking and thinking from the other's perspective, their understandings and their reality of the world and the specific situation. And when you look at the Western world without naming any specific countries or leaders, I think we can both agree that for the past couple of centuries and decades, they've been the ones ruling the world when it comes to the economy. And even though their system is currently under real pressure and not very stable anymore, they are currently still running this economy to this day. But in order to really understand the situation, we need to go back in time to where it all began. Like 1400 years ago, around 610 AD, after Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, received his first revelations and started spreading the message of Islam to the people around him, Islam started to grow exponentially in the Middle East. And not just in the Middle East, Islam gained its first genuine foothold in continental Europe from 711 AD, onward in the Iberian Peninsula area, which is southern Europe, mainly Spain and Portugal and a little part of Italy. And from that moment, the spread of Islam never ended. At that time, the spread of this religion happened mainly through traveling, international trading, and war. And this was a time where the Roman Empire ruled Europe, a Christian empire that already was ruling this immense big area for centuries. But then the Arabs came with different perspectives on cultural interaction, religion, better solutions to economics, more advanced technologies and ideas. And I understand that the Romans didn't like that. So this so-called fear of the spread of Islam already started a very long time ago. And it wasn't without a reason, because eventually on May 29, in the year 1453 AD, the capital of the Roman Empire, called Constantinople, was taken by the Ottomans, one of the biggest Islamic empires that ever existed. They later named this big city Istanbul, which is still a very popular place. I visited Istanbul a couple months ago, and you can still find a lot of beautiful history over there. The Ottomans conquered and ruled a big part of Southeast Europe at that time, and that's why you can still find a lot of Islamic history in this European region nowadays. And fast forward in the time where we're living today, Islam is still growing in all parts of the world, including all Western countries. And in almost every country in the world, it is the fastest growing religion, mainly because of immigration. But in the last couple of years, you see a lot of Europeans and Americans convert to Islam as well, including me. And according to some studies I looked up on the internet, in the UK, France, United States, Germany, the Netherlands, and so on, up to 100,000 people converted in the last decade in each country. So now you understand a little bit more about the history and the spread of Islam. Let's go back to the question. Why does the Western world fear the spread of Islam so much? Because if this religion is not dangerous, why can't we just live in peace? And what do those religious beliefs have to do with politics, economics, and any of that at all? Well, actually a lot. And again, we should start looking at it from their perspective to really understand it. In the end, you have to understand that for the world leaders, it is all about maintaining three things: money, power, and controlling the people. I mean, you can do whatever you want in life as long as you don't get too extreme in one of those three areas, right? So then the actual question is, how much does this exponential growth of Islam impact these important areas for the Western world's leaders? Well, when I started looking deeper into this, I found some really interesting things. Not like many other groups, beliefs, and religions today, Muslims have very strict rules and guidelines for life that they take very, very seriously. A Muslim stands for their beliefs and doesn't tolerate anything that goes against God's will, even if it's between life and death. Probably that's one of the biggest reasons why Islam got so big in the first place. And the first thing that I found was that Muslims don't allow or involve in interest. The Quran states multiple times, showing the big consequences of interest as one of the biggest sins. O believers, do not consume interest, multiplying it many times over, and be mindful of God, so you may prosper. And now let this be the thing that the whole Western economy and banking systems are built upon: interest and debt. And the Muslims are right. If you allow interest in a society, it creates a huge amount of debts with money that doesn't even exist. It makes the rich richer and the poor poorer. Now, let me explain this real quick. When wealthy people put their money in the bank, they earn extra money called interest, which helps them get even richer without doing much. Then the banks are using this money to loan it out to people who need money. And the poorer people often need to borrow money in order to pay the things that they need. And they have to pay back more money to the bank than they borrowed because of interest. This can make it very hard for them to save money. And because the banks are constantly loaning money and charging interest that actually doesn't exist, the banks print more money, which leads to inflation, making everything more expensive. This means that the people need more money to buy the same thing. And wealthy people can usually handle this because they have earnings, savings, and assets. But poorer people struggle because their money doesn't go so far. And this system often helps those who are already rich and makes it harder for those with less money to get ahead. And I'm sorry if it's a little hard to understand. It's very hard to explain such a complex topic in such a short time. And I don't want to dive too deep into this in this video, but I can say that this whole Western economy is built upon this evil and dangerous banking system. Now, little side note, if you want to know more about how this system really works, I'll put a link in the description for you to check out. Actually, just this reason alone could be enough to be afraid of a religion that won't accept the foundation of your financial economic structure. But that's not it. I found a lot more. For example, Muslims don't drink alcohol because it harms your body and mind. Now that will be a $1.7 trillion global industry, completely gone. Yet in the Western world, you see them advertising it everywhere. And alcohol is linked to so many things. I mean, nightclubs would shut down. There would be a lot less undisciplined and drunk people that causing problems on the streets at night. And what about the adult industry? Gone. That's haram, bro. Another $100 billion industry. Gone. And also this industry is linked to a lot more, but I'll not dive deeper into this today. And Muslims are not just not drinking alcohol and not going to nightclubs. They just don't take any drugs or anything that will harm their body and minds at all, since it's forbidden and considered a major sin in this religion. And did you know that more than 70% of all accidents and illnesses are related to this? And the legal system in healthcare might seem like a beautiful solution for helping the people in their country, but we should not forget that it's also one of the biggest industries where most money is circulating. I mean, if you really want to help your people, you should follow the Islamic way and focus on fixing the causes of the problems, not the outcome of the problems. And I'm sorry, I know I start to get talking a little fast now, sharing a lot of things here, but do you start understanding where I'm going? But these were just a few of the money and economic reasons. What about the power and controlling the people? As a leader of a society, the last thing that you want is a cultural shift, anger, or uprising by your people. You want to keep them under control because they realize that when society wakes up and rises up,